go.
Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to the Secrets of Happily Ever After. I'm your host, Monica Tanner, and I am so excited for our episode today. I have special guests with me today, Jen Gottlieb and Chris Winfield. They have not only been mentors to me, but also they are brilliant at helping business owners and entrepreneurs create and build their brands using AI and PR. And not only that, but they are also just a really, really cool couple. So I've invited them here today to talk to us about their monumental business success, as well as how they juggle and prioritize their family life and all the things. Thank you guys so much for being here. How are you?
Of course, we're so happy. Anytime we can spend time with you is better.
That's for sure.
Oh, I love that. Well, I want to talk about how you guys juggle business and your family life, but I also am so excited to talk about Jen's new book, Be Seen, which is totally like launching into the world this week.
Yeah.
I've been watching the process so closely. And what I want to focus today on as we chat is I've read it cover to cover and it's so good. Obviously, if you have a message that you want to get out into the world, this is how you can be seen. But because I am who I am, I obviously read this as well and relate it to relationships. So there's so many good like frameworks in here that also talk about how to like be seen in your relationship. So I'm also going to ask you about that. Sound good?
Love it.
Sounds good.
First question, because I want my audience to really get to know you, and everybody loves a good love story. And so when you read this book, it's you get to hear Jen's experience and a lot of the ways you kind of had to grow into Jen 2.0 and the obstacles that you overcame to be ready to find and accept this great love. But I haven't really gotten to hear Chris's side of the story. So since I have you together today, I would love to hear from both of your perspectives, how you met, fell in love, went into business together, got married, and now run this multiple 8-figure business together.
Yeah. So if you want to start with me, like
I think you should.
Sure. So, I had been married for, I don't even know, a long time. And it wasn't, it was marriage that just wasn't the right marriage and it wasn't the right thing. And I got separated in 2017, like February of 2017. And I realized I didn't go out and start like just dating, going crazy or anything. I actually did like the exact opposite. Like I realized that I needed to do a lot of work on myself, like a lot of inner work. And that's what I focused on. I focused on growing my business at the time and doing inner work, like lots. Like I would journal so much. Like we were going through these drawers and we have just journal after journal after journal. I used to write, 3 pages handwritten every single morning and just did all this different stuff. And I would date very infrequently. Just like if something was convenient, I guess is the best way. And then I actually started working with someone like a close friend of mine who would like to look at like the blocks that I'd put up because I had this belief that I could not be in a healthy, fun, romantic relationship. Like because my parent growing up, it was I grew up in a very chaotic household, to put it nicely. And so I didn't see that there. I didn't see it with any of the relationships that I was having because it was like there was like things that I learned earlier on. So I was putting myself in just terrible relationships where I would just be terrible as well. Anyway, so I got healthy in terms of being, with like the work that I needed to do. And then really, I think I was at that point where I was also ready to get in a relationship, but I wasn't like actively looking for that. And Jen reached out to me on Facebook and
My friend
requested me. Oh yeah. And did I reach out to you first or did you? Okay. So I was like, oh wow, okay, this is better than the the 50 guys that just tried to request the marketing guys. So I wrote her back. Didn't write her back, wrote her. I just probably just said, hey, what's up, or something like that, right?
I can find exactly what you said. I think you said, "Hey Jennifer" or something.
Yeah, her name was
Facebook
her
is
name was
Jennifer.
Jennifer on Facebook. What's wrong with that?
No, and just remembering like that's how like we like knew nothing. I mean, I
Yeah.
can find it. It was like something about. Keep going, and I'll.
And so anyway, we just started going back and forth, and I really like I don't have game. I'm not that person. So I just was like talking normal, and then she basically asked me out, or asked to get together, right?
I said, "Are we ever going to meet up?"
Yeah.
But the ironic thing was, is he didn't know. So, and I didn't realize what was really going on. I didn't think we were flirting or anything. I thought that he was someone I needed to connect with for business. That was like the message that I got from the ex-boyfriend that ironically told me to follow him and friend request him. But I was at my Thanksgiving dinner table on this day when we were DMing under the table. And I remember saying to my parents, like, they were all like, when are you going to meet someone? Like, have you met? Like, they were on
There's the beginning.
Yeah. Thanks for connecting. Looks like we have some great friends in common, Jennifer. Yes, we do. You work out at Equinox Sports Club, right? Yeah, you too? Yep, just came back after not being there for a few years. Nice. Are you on the Upper West Side? So it was lame. But he just kept trying to chit chat with me. So I was like, so neighbor, are we should definitely connect in real life one of these days. And he said, yes, definitely. At Equinox next week? I said, I will be, but I'm there at weird times. Like, pick a time. He's like, I'm usually at weird times too. What is that face? Face with a tongue out.
Like same thing.
Or we could grab coffee or something. Wednesday before 3 is completely open for me as of now. Let me know what works for you. And we were going to have a coffee at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Perfect. By the way, Monica, no one's ever read this before, so you have the.
I was going to say the cool thing about this is if you've heard you speak or if you read this book, these are like details that nobody gets.
We've never shared this.
Juicy. Great. Anywhere on the Upper West Side works for me. And he said Aroma, which is like a restaurant right around here that's no longer there. Also, my mobile is, if we can switch to text, I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook Messenger. So we did. And then we went for a walk in the park.
And then it was really nice that day. So I was like, I think I texted you and said, let's go for a walk in Central Park instead. And we did. And I was late. So, but a little bit. And I came up there and it was so nice out. And it was like, I thought just like a cool, just thing. And I was like, who's luckier than us? And she was just like, what? And then from there it was pretty much on. I don't know, I was like, after that I was pretty much like, yeah, that's the girl for me. Like I didn't, there was no like question, there's no questioning it.
I love that.
And then I asked her out for another, like over the weekend on Saturday, and she said no. She said Sunday, and I was like really bothered by that.
Now that I know him, I know how bothered he was by it. But Monica, I was reading Not Your Mother's Rules. I'm sure you know it. And because I was having such bad luck with dating, I was like, screw it. I'm going to do this rules thing. Like, I'm going to play this game. And so they said to like wait to respond and like don't be so available. So I said, I'm not free on Saturday, because it was like the next day. I was like, but no, I'm free on Sunday.
It was a couple of days.
Yeah. Well, and I said I wasn't, but it was probably intriguing.
Yeah. And then we went to this place. It was a meditation place. I asked her to go there. It's this really, really cool place. And we did a meditation. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was a date. Definitely.
That was a date. Yeah, that one was. The walk in the park wasn't a date. The second one was a date. And then after, you took me to dinner. And then we walked all the way home.
Yep.
And when we walked all the way home, it was so crazy because we walked like through Times Square, and my activity as a single woman was walking around New York City pretending I was walking with my husband. Like that was my weirdo activity that I would do. And I would literally just like, now I call them wonder walks. They're in the book. It's a thing. And I would envision walking with him like down this exact streets, like all the way from downtown to uptown on the Upper West Side. And here we are walking the exact route. And like, I'm like, this is crazy. And it like, that was it that night. Like, that was like, it was like, we're getting married kind of thing. It was like, that was from that day on.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Just so you know, Chris, one of my favorite sentiments, and I do talk to my clients about this, is who's luckier than us. Like, I feel like that is the foundation for such a great relationship. If you can think at all times, even in hard times, who's luckier than us, right? So good.
I did that this morning. I was listening to, I was listening to some song, and oh my God, I wish I remembered what song it is. It's gonna drive me crazy. And it kind of is talking about, it might even be called it's not called Who's Luckier Than Us. Hold on one second, because this is crazy. Just, yeah, I forgot that. Hold on. Sorry. Next to you. And the whole thing is like, doesn't matter like what's going on, like as long as I'm next to you. Like it's great. I mean, whatever, the song's okay, but it made me think of that.
So you guys are both incredible in your own rights, but Jen, like, you've got some really big audacious goals, like writing a book, becoming the most sought after female motivational speaker, and you're totally doing it. So my question for you is this: what are some of the things that Chris does to support you throughout the process that really mean a lot to you? And then I want to hear from Chris, what is it like for you to be there for Jen during all of this, the good, the bad, and the ugly moments that most of us don't get to see?
Sure.
Okay. I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for Chris. He lit the fire under me. He pushes me when I don't want to do the uncomfortable thing. He opens doors for me from the very beginning. He met me, I was a personal trainer, and I was transitioning into online coaching and building an actual remote business. And he pushed me to let go of my clients. I would have stayed in that limited scarcity mindset. And he was like, when are you getting rid of the clients? When are you getting rid of them? Like, pushing me. And every single step of the way, not only did he like give me the tools and connect me to certain people, it's like I have my own personal, like, you know what Chris does for people? Like, I have my own personal Chris Winfield. And that's been my superpower. Like, that's been the thing that's helped me more than anything in the world. I find it's very rare to see, like, Chris was the face of this company when I met him. It was his company. He was the face of the brand. And when we decided to become partners, like, he like took a step back and like put his ego aside and like lifted me up and pushed me to the front and gave me like and supported me and just like lifted me up and like wanted me to have the spotlight. And that is so rare. You don't find that every day. You don't find that hardly ever. And then not a day goes by that I don't, like, when I was manifesting love, I was at the same time, I was like, yeah, I want to have this amazing career and I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be successful. But I never knew that like they were both going to come together from one person. And he supports me every day. He's my biggest fan. And at the same time, as much as he's my biggest fan and always like thinking of ideas for me and wanting to support me and like giving, like, he also pushes me. And sometimes I resist the push. In fact, we joke because a lot of the times I resist the first push. So he'll tell me that I should do something. And if I get uncomfortable by it or scared by it, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And I'll push back and he gets so mad and we'll get into a fight. But then I'll always end up doing the thing. It just takes me a few minutes to like realize I just resisted that. And he's pushing me because he knows it's best for me. And every time I do the thing that Chris tells me to do, it always works out in my favor. But he's helped me push my comfort zone in a place where I just feel so supported, but also like I'm stretching at the same time. So, I mean, like, for the record, I would not be here where I'm at or where I'm going if it wasn't for the guidance that he's given me, the support that he's given me, the push that he's given me. He is like my ultimate mentor and partner in all this.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. What was the question for me?
What's the experience like for you? I mean, you married this incredible powerhouse woman who is capable of more than she even probably ever realized. So what is that like for you to be that support for her?
I mean, I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw so interesting to think about that I don't even remember Jen as a trainer anymore, or as like the group or any of that. Like it's so wild that it just feels so far away. And the when we became partners, and there's so many people that gave me shit, or were like, like, oh, that's just because it's your girlfriend, or whatever. And like I just laugh at all these people now, because I knew that how amazing she was and how great she could be. And with giving up being like the face of the company, yeah, it's simple, because she was better at it. Like, that's what I would explain to people. I'm like, it's actually a very smart move. And because who cares where like what somebody comes from, or what their experience was before, because she had experience that, I didn't have, TV and this stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's been really, really cool to be able to watch and be a part of it. And, also, how it's helped me. Helps me and helps our company. It helps everything. It's not like Jen's not a look at me, just I'm the only one doing this type of person. So, it all kind of reflect or goes all around. And I think that that's, just something that a lot of times people miss, like that Jen going and speaking, to 7,000 people, results in, 5 people coming to our event, and, one of them paying 25,000, one of them paying 100,000, you know what I mean? Like it's not just like, look at me. And I think that that's the and it's actually way more game from that than that, but I was just trying to use it as an example. But yeah, so I think that it's to me, it's like it's easy. It's like I've been writing copy like all morning, like, and like for for her, the book launch and stuff like that. And as Jen, like copywriter, and and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love about you as a couple, and why I really wanted to have this discussion with you two specifically, because you are so supportive of each other and you work as a team so well. And your goals are actually pretty different. So I want to explore this a little bit from what I know. I mean, as an outsider, I see, Jen has the goal of writing this book and being #1 motivational speaker, right? And you want to start AI companies like in the middle of the night, right? And so like, they're different you have different goals. And I'd love to be on a fly on the wall when one of you has like a really big idea that requires a significant investment of time and money. And I know this is a challenge for many couples, that they don't often want to share their big dreams with each other for fear of not getting the support that they need. So what does this look like for you guys? And what would you say to someone who feels the pull to do something really big, but isn't sure how to share it with their partner or their spouse?
Yeah.
Well, for us, it's kind of like part of who we are that we share our big dreams with each other. It's part of our relationship.
Yeah.
Like that's always been like such a great part of who we are. I understand that that's not the case for a lot of couples, but for us, it's like I get an idea and it's the first person I want to tell is him. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea. Most of the time, they're bad ideas, and I'm just like, we should do this. And usually, I'm screaming, "We should do this" from the other room, and he's trying to do something, and then I get on his nerves. But it's like I have to tell him the second that it comes to my mind. And that's just how we are, and that's like part of our like culture as a couple. We like to dream big together. Like the book was only born because I woke up, I opened my eyes, and I said to him, I'm writing a book, right? And I was like, hold me accountable. It was the first person. I was like, the second I got the idea, I'm writing the book, it's starting now. And immediately the process started in that second. Immediately he was like, all right, who are we going to introduce you to get the ball moving? And it happened within a week.
We got to get an agent.
Yeah, all the things. So, but what I would say to couples that are afraid that their partner isn't going to support their big dream, man, I mean, you probably know this better than me, Monica. Like you are a relationship counselor. I'm not. I'm clearly not an expert in relationships. But what we really like to do is like when we go on walks a lot, and when we go on walks, it helps us communicate. And sometimes we get stuck in a rut and we can't really communicate with each other. But a lot of the times, like when we're moving, walking, we'll be able to. And we'll always start with like, what are you grateful for? And we'll talk about what we're grateful for about each other. And then like, what are you excited about? And we just open up conversation, and walking always helps. But I mean, like, I think that it's like opening the communication in other ways, um and then kind of slipping it in. What would you say, Chris?
Yeah. And I guess the question was like to people who don't like, I can't even imagine that,
Yeah.
and I know that that comes up, but I think that that's like, I think that obviously it's a bigger issue, right? Because yeah, from it's the same exact thing as Jen. Like I'll tell her immediately before anyone else, and we both have a lot of ideas, and like she said, a lot of them are wrong and a lot of them are terrible. But I don't think, for the most part, we don't really ridicule or do anything to, when somebody's idea was wrong, even when it was expensive. So
Yeah, we've had expensive ideas go wrong, and it's
yeah,
just part of it.
a lot. I was talking about this. You at the mastermind day, you lose a lot more than you win. So yeah, but we're both. She's a 9 quick start. I'm a 10 on the Colby. And so we have a lot of ideas and we want to take action on them fast. Now she was probably like a 2 or 3, which means that it can change, because she was like slow. Like it was really crazy how slow she was when
And now it's like you can't stop me. But
yeah.
it's just from being around him. He's influenced me in so many ways, and I think that like, I guess that's what happens but I'm so grateful for it. Now it's like, let's go, let's move on it fast
Yep.
immediately. We got an idea, let's do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's interesting is I feel like you're describing that. This is my next question, but I feel like you're talking about the confidence continuum a little bit, which is a concept that you teach in this book.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I feel like maybe you could like give us a little sneak peek of the confidence continuum, but how that applies to really being seen, like sharing your heart and soul with your partner, your goals and things like that. And then like what happens if you kind of keep doing it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many scenarios where he just forced me to take that first action step. So the confidence continuum is all about like, you take the little action step, it could be teeny, teeny, tiny, and you get that little win. And that little win gives you a little bit of momentum and motivation to take the action step again. And then you take that next action step with a little less fear, and then you get a big win. And then it just keeps on going. And that's how you build confidence over time. But your partner can help be that accountability for that first action step, because the hardest part of the confidence continuum is taking that first step. It's the hardest part. So I like to tell people, like, get some accountability behind that first step. Have somebody support you. Chris, so he just said, like, I spoke in front of 7,000 people at an arena, and I'm about to do it again. Like, I got, like, next time. And it's, like, the biggest stage I've ever gotten.
The next one will be bigger.
The next one will probably be 14,000 people. I would have never gotten that stage if Chris didn't say to me, hey, you should really reach out to XYZ about this person. And I was like, no, that's scary. I don't want to do that. I'm good. I waited. I did. I resisted. And this is me. I resist every time. The first time I always resist. And he's like, you should really reach out to this person about this and just ask. And I was like, okay. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And finally, I was like, all right, take that stupid, scary first action step. Dare of the day. That's in the book too. I dare you. Dare of the day. Dare of the day. And I just did it. And because of that, I got the yes. And that
life changing.
Was life changing
because of what's coming behind that.
Gave me a little bit of motivation now to make another ask that I got the yes, and another ask. And like, the more that you make the ask, the less scary the ask, whatever it is, becomes. And so when you have accountability from your partner, whether they're pushing you or they're supporting you or they're following up with you and asking you if you did it, it is so helpful in taking that first scary step. And I mean, that's just how it works. And then like I bet you my resistance was, I could never speak on a stage that big. Like my resistance was part of like that. What if I do get the yes? What if he says yes to me and I do it? Oh my God. Like, but there was the confidence continuum in action, because he said, I got the yes, I got the stage, and I proved to myself that I could do it. And now, like, now it's going to be bigger. And if it wasn't for him telling me, you need to ask this person now, I don't know if I would have happened.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because what you're describing is a lot of what couples face when they think about being vulnerable. about something, like sharing something with their partners, sharing their desire, or, asking for more of what they want or something. It's that vulnerability, right? And so it's like taking that teeny tiny step, like you talk about, and then letting it, keep being accountable, doing it again, right? And then just keeping until they get momentum and like learning. And that's how you're going to make big, massive shifts in your relationship, is by taking that teeny tiny first step and holding yourself accountable, or having a friend keep you accountable, or to have a coach keep you accountable, right? To just do the thing and then do it again. And then like you start to build that confidence in yourself and in your relationship. So so good. The confidence continuum is a big framework in this book that's really, really good and applicable in a lot of different situations. But here's something else you talk about in the book a lot, Jen, is that you are an extreme introvert. And I believe that you are too, Chris, right? You guys are introverted, right? And here you are, both speaking on these massive stages. You basically network and teach others how to network for a living. You're consistently in the spotlight and needing to be on at all times. So my question for both of you is, how do you protect your energy and recharge? And what systems, or I like to call them bumpers for my couples, what bumpers do you have in place so that you aren't always depleted and like taking things out on each other?
Let me go.
Well, sometimes we are taking things out.
Yeah.
So like, we'll just be real. We're not perfect, but you go first.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we found that makes the biggest difference is if we have somebody to help protect our time or our energy. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say at our event, we're constantly on, pretty much, even if you're backstage, we're on, because a lot of times you have to talk to the speakers, all this stuff. So, maybe out of the whole day, maybe there's 10% where you're not on. But by having someone like our COO is like very, very like cognizant of like who should be where, meaning like if these people shouldn't be here, they're not going to be. So then they're not gonna that like small talk or something like that can be like really depleting. So I think that that's one part. For me, like, it's the other is so stupid. Like, I just watched like a dumb show. I watched 90 Day Fiance. I'm on season
I don't know.
5? Yeah, I'm deep into that show. Like, like
invested.
Oh my God. And I love it, every second of it. So, but it helps me to just, for some reason, like that just helps me to just completely just like shut off. And I feel really good about my life. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jen probably doesn't mess with that. She probably knows that that's your.
She watches it with me, and she's not as crazy. Like, where,
but
like,
I watch it because I know how important it is to him, and it's not that important. Like, I could care either way. I just like so his happiness. It's probably codependent, completely codependent. I am reliant. Like, his happiness means a lot to me. So I will, like, that is so important. I know how much he loves 90 Day Fiance. I know how much he loves the ice cream I make him in the Ninja Creamy thing. Like, I don't cook. I don't do anything like that. I don't clean. You couldn't catch me doing, I make great reservations, but I don't do anything around the house. But I do make him ice cream with this protein powder every single night. And I feel like that's my act of service and like love for him. And we watch 90 Day Fiance, and that's how he recharges. For me, I've been really open with him and communicating, and you've been good about it lately. Like, I need a day. So after this event, I said to him, I don't need a week. I don't need 3 days. I don't need a vacation. I need one day where I can do whatever I want. I'm not expected to be around. I don't have to answer to anything. Like, I can do whatever. And you were very understanding of that.
Yeah,
great. I'll give you the one day, and then you need to come back. Yeah. So, like, for me, protecting my energy means like I go in sprints and recovery time. So like if I know that I'm in a sprint, like an event is a sprint to me, like I knew I was going to sprint for 4 days. And then as long as I knew that I had that one day on the other side where I could recover, it's like a mindset of like, it's almost like an athlete. Like, you've got the game, and when the game is over, you can rest. And I have that day that I look forward to. I get my day, I recover. And then I'm like, I love work. So like by the end of my recovery day, I was already back
I
like
know.
doing things. I couldn't not. It's so we love what we do so much that yes, we're introverted. And so like a lot of honest needs recovery, but it's also like teaching and being on stage for me. I joke with Chris, like I didn't even joke. I was like, remember when I got off stage, I was like, I could literally be on stage for 24 hours straight and I wouldn't get tired. When I got off stage, I would collapse. But like being on stage when you're doing what you love, like you just it feels easy.
Mhm.
And that's easy for me. It's the onness of like when like introversion, like when you're in a room and you're networking and you're making conversations with people, that is like I think I overexert myself and then I need to be by myself in order to recoup.
Yeah, that's so good. And I agree with you. When you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. But that brings up another question, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about, even if they've just met you here, because you've built this massive company together, you live together, you work together, you parent together, you run challenges, all the things together, right? So how do you ensure that you're not only like Chris and Jen running Super Connector Media, Chris and Jen parenting, but also Chris and Jen lovers and best friends?
How do we ensure that?
Yeah,
Is
like
that the question?
how do you make sure that you're not just, focusing all your time and attention on that?
Dates. We go on a date at least once a week. Seems like it's even more lately, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, I think that's like a really important one. And
Do you have
being
rules
able,
about talking about business on your date nights?
no,
No,
About business
no,
on your date?
because it'd be
it'd be
crazy.
boring.
Yeah, we like coming up with ideas and
I
yeah,
think it's okay. So this is a misconception I think people have. Like, and I've learned this. I used to think like, oh my God, talking about work too much is bad. We
right.
need to force ourselves to just be couples.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the reasons we fell in love with each other is because we both are very driven and we love accomplishing and achieving and we love ideas and we love coming up with things and we love our business and it's like I get excited talking to him about business. Like we like that, and so if we couldn't connect on that, it would be weird. And one of like the sexiest things to me is like when he's doing great stuff in business. Like when I watch him
Yeah, same.
speak, like
Yeah.
or like do AI, like I'm like, oh my God, he's so great. Like that's like if we were just on a date, like I mean, yeah, you're amazing as a human, but like some of the stuff that I love most about him that's so attractive to me is like his ability to write an amazing email. Like seriously, like that's cool and sexy. And his how great he is on stage and how funny he is and how like it just how he works the room is it's part of our relationship. And so when we go on date nights, we allow ourselves to go there now and it's fine.
Yeah. No, I love that. I have a friend who she says, I just want to lick my husband's brain when I see him doing what he's best at. And
Oh
that's
my
true. Like
God.
it's like a good thing. Like if you we are attracted by seeing our partner in their element, right? And so for the two of you, you connect on that, and that's great. I hope you don't ever like really lick his brain, but I mean, I get that. I get
I
that.
know. That's like crazy visual.
Yeah.
I feel that way about my husband too. Sometimes I just want to lick his brain. I don't know. So here's another question. How do you guys make really big decisions when it comes to running the company or like where to go on date night or vacation? Like, do you have a way to settle disagreements when one of you wants one thing and the other has a very different opinion about it?
Sometimes we just don't settle the agreement.
Yeah.
Like we had a disagreement about it, where to go to a
Last
restaurant
night.
last night, and we just didn't go out to eat. We couldn't settle the agreement. We'll always be honest about our relationship.
Yeah.
We will never come on here and be like,
But we weren't in a fight.
No, we just decided.
Yeah.
We're just
Because I went and did something else and
and
then
it was fine.
and then B came here.
We
Yeah.
just like couldn't decide, so we
Yeah.
just didn't.
Yeah.
But with big decisions, well, how do we make big decisions?
Well, we decide it and then we'll run it by our COO. But I feel like if it's already decided, it's
No, you decide.
what? Yeah.
You decide.
Yeah.
I default to him a lot, and I do with decisions. He's the CEO of the company, and I would rather it that way because I don't like making big decisions like that. I'll help for sure. But also one thing that we do is I'm really good at remembering when we made a wrong decision last time
Yeah.
and like reeling him back in. So sometimes Chris will be like, oh, we should do this. And I'm like, do you remember when we did that last time and it did not work? Like, let's learn from that, what we did then.
Yeah.
I'll bring that into the decision-making process. And sometimes he'll be like, oh, you're right.
Yep. Exactly. Good point.
Yeah. So business decisions we're pretty good at. Personal decisions, sometimes we just like.
That's probably half and half.
Yeah.
One thing I think that you guys do really well is journal, because I think that helps to kind of make decisions, like remember, like the lessons you've learned from past decisions, things like that. Yep. So if we're like bringing out things for people to learn from you guys, I think journaling is a practice that you guys have that's really, really valuable.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love journaling. It's my favorite thing is I reading back. So like I read back to, we're moving, so we're picking up all of our stuff, and I'm reading all these old journals, and like the journal that I had when I met him, and like reading back to like our first date, and reading back to like what I said the morning that I was going to go on that walk with him. And it was like, I'm so grateful I met my husband today. I didn't know I was going to meet. I didn't know. And then I was like, I'm grateful I had a good time with Chris today. Like it was like two separate lines. Like it's just so cool to look back. And it's so cool to look back on like, you know what I love about journaling? What I was worried about a year ago. And I was so worried and so anxious. And it was so scary. And I'll look back at my journal and I was, oh my gosh, beside myself, or we were fighting, or we were arguing, or something wasn't right. And I was so upset. And I'm thinking like, what was this? I don't even know. It doesn't even matter anymore. And that checks me. Like if I'm making a big deal about something now, it's not going to matter a year from now. I'm not even going to remember. So who do I want to be in this moment right now? That's how journaling really helps me. Not necessarily the act of doing it, but reading back later, like, oh,
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. And that question, Jen, is a really important question too, is who do I want to be in this moment? Because that's a really great way to ensure that you're showing up in your marriage in an intentional way, and not just in that, wounded child's, past, like you were talking about at the beginning, Chris, is like, you didn't get to see the example really well. And so you created a lot of adaptations, and you thought to yourself, I'm not good at relationships, right? But you always get to choose. And moving forward, when you know better, you do better. And so you can always ask that question, who do I want to be right now in this moment? Doesn't matter what I've seen. Doesn't matter like all of those things. You learn the skill sets just like any other skill set. And then you get to intentionally choose. So I love, love, love that.
So good.
So good. All right. So this is something I unfortunately see in a lot of relationships, and it causes a lot of resentment and pain. So if you're listening to this episode and you're feeling called to something huge, and you're feeling like Chris and Jen's words are giving you some hope and encouragement, but you're still a little nervous about sharing that big dream, I want you to message me on any social platform, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the word support. And I'm going to send you a link to purchase Jen's book, Be Seen, which is like an incredible resource if you're ready to get your idea, your message, your big thing out into the world. But I'm also going to send you a resource that I've created called the 7 Tips to Get More Support from Your Spouse.
And I would highly recommend this. If somebody wants to have a better relationship, they want to then have that relationship help them in business because they feel good, they should talk to Monica.
100%.
We've seen firsthand the results of that. So just take our word for that. And they should work with you.
I appreciate that more than you know. So I hope that those listening to our conversation feel really seen and supported, especially if you have a big goal or dream that you're ready to manifest. So my closing question for you guys is this. If you had the undivided attention of everyone in the entire world for just a few minutes, what is the most important thing you could teach them about building their personal brand so they can be seen without sacrificing their most important relationship, which is their marriage?
I teach them how to use AI. End the story.
Yes, that's important.
Jen will give you a more nice answer, but that's what I would do.
I would say stop waiting for it to be perfect and just do it. And that just for everything, because I was waiting to be perfect before I could find my partner. And I found my partner when I was definitely imperfect. And he loved me for all of my imperfections and still does. And you have to start before you're ready. You have to start messily. You have to start imperfectly. And if you wait for the perfect time to start your brand or social media or anything that you're doing in your business, you're never going to start. And the messy start is what actually ends up giving you the clarity that you need as you go and in the relationship. So come as you are.
So good. Anything else? I feel like you have something to say there, Chris.
I think, I mean, the thing that I would always say is, just get started. Like Jen said, I think that's where it all comes down to. I was actually on a podcast earlier and they were asking me, what are some of the secrets? But I think that one of the biggest ones is just consistency. The more, and I think that helps in business. It helps in relationships. If you show up consistently as this type of person, you're, as a good person, or, your relationship's probably going to be pretty good if you're in with the right person. So
yeah. And one
start before you're ready.
For sure.
Yes. What's the other thing?
Is that this too shall pass. Like discomfort's temporary. I know. I honestly, like, that's what gets me through absolutely everything is the concept that, like, I'm going to end up in my bed every night. Like, so I'm in, like, if you're in a difficult moment, like it's difficult for you to post or, share something with your partner or like have a hard conversation. Know that either way, if you have the conversation or if you post online or if you don't, doesn't matter. The day's still going to end. So the person that you are when you end up in your bed at night, like, how do you want to feel? Do I want to feel like, oh, really should have told him that thing that I really wanted to tell him today? It was another day that went by that I didn't tell him that thing. Or do you want to be like, I did the hard thing, I did it, and now we can move on, and now we're one step closer to our growth. So that's another thing that I'm always reminding myself of that I'd like to remind your listeners.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Yes, beautiful and ultimately important, because I really do think that when people get to the end of their lives, more of the pain and regret comes from the things that they didn't do, like the things that they didn't talk about, the things that they, held so close and, missed the opportunity to become the best version of themselves and together as a couple. So thank you guys so much for your time today. Tell the audience or my listeners where they can find you, learn more about you, connect with you, learn from you, get a copy of Be Seen, all the things.
Well, for me, beseenbook.com for the book and anywhere really that you get your books. And Instagram's where I hang out at Jen_Gottlieb. You can find out everything there.
Yeah, same. Chris Winfield, pretty much on every social network, but mostly Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. All right.
All
we
right.
love you.
Thank you. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. I can't wait for tomorrow.
I know. We love you, Monica. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Love you too. Thank you.
Bye, Monica.
Bye-bye. To learn more ways to deepen your intimacy and strengthen your relationship, make sure you watch this video next.